Thank you all for coming. Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you all for coming. I know it's kind of late in the evening, the day, starting evening, but you decided to come here. It's a beautiful audience, and I hope that, I'm not sure because of the nature of the subject matter, I cannot promise you any laughter, but I hope that by the time that we are leaving this event, we would have a deeper understanding of Iran and Iranian people, as well as the big, huge struggle of young Iranian people, even as of today that we are speaking, against the oppression and the oppressive regime of Iran. So, and also, I would like to thank I guess they already left, the book people and the book people staff for inviting me here. So tonight, because this book, as most of you know, it's a dedication to my grandmother Bibi, eating a smoked fish with the northern fishermen. Nothing gives a man as much satisfaction as the breeze stroking his face as he steers the wheel, the earth beneath his feet and the sky above his head, he said proudly, blowing gray smoke ring after ring from his Winston cigarette, oblivious to mother and her astonished look. For a while, Mohammed was Bruce Lee. Barely 13 years old, with hardly any substantial pocket money, he managed to save several 2 months to sign himself up for karate and taekwondo, buying different sets of uniforms in black and white for the 2 classes he took in the evenings. Every month or so, he came home proud of yet another of his brand new belt. Once I earned black, I would have this last belt, he'll tell me. He kept snatching Ibrahim's precious sports magazines and secretly cutting out the centerfold pictures of Bruce Lee with that dreadful look of rage in his Chinese eyes and those polished scar lines on his cheeks. On a brown grocery bag, he'd cut out small holes for the eyes and mouth and pasted the head of the karate champion on it. Placing the black dragon's head on his neck, he would chase Bibi around the fish pond, daring her to fight him, this undefeated new champion. He would jump out from this small entryway right in front of mother as she returned from the market, her arms laden with baskets bursting with fruits and groceries. Once he jumped up so high he almost gave mother a heart attack. My other brothers joined him in those frenzied massacres, yelling their guts out, kicking an imaginary army of enemies. That lasted only until the following winter, when a new champion arrived in our living room, Muhammad Ali, the boxer. As he followed the dancing feet fight on our own very black and white Shab Lawrence TV screen, my brother rolled up all his karate belts, including the brown one, gathered his medallions, stored them in a box, and kissed the Chinese champion goodbye. Somehow he realized that the disguise of being Muhammad Ali would be much harder to defeat. This time, with the promise of a cotton candy stick and endless punching, he hired my brothers Hussein and Amir, and of course me, to fill up a punching bag with tons of sawdust. Well, mostly the boys did the filling. They sneered and said, "Let's be realistic. You're a girl, and the last thing you would know on the face of the planet is how to punch a bag." They handed me the dustpan instead and made me sweep the ground before mother returned home and saw the mess and yelled her guts out. The sawdust got in my eye. "You made the mess," I told them. "You clean it up yourself too, now that you won't let me punch." I dropped the dustpan and took my jump rope instead. Pretending to ignore them, I watched as they hung the bag from the arbor and under the shade of the black grape vines. Doing his foot dance, Mohammed began punching the air and reaching for his jump rope. There, that's something he can't do as well as I can, I thought. Jump rope. I may not punch like these bully boys, but I beat the hell out of them with my jump rope. "Ready?" I shouted. "No stopping up to 100 and no cheating. I do the counting," Mohammed yelled back, his voice bouncing on tiled ground. 1, 2. I knew I could do it. I just had to listen carefully to the lashing sound against the tiles. It always made me jump faster. I will beat him again, I thought. In the mornings now, my brothers punched the bag even before they used the courtyard toilet. So did their friends as they came in. First, they sank a good punch into the bag, then greeted the household. Muhammad bought a pair of bizarre-looking fat red gloves in order to punch harder, and a set of fake teeth that made his mouth swollen and his lips look like a trout's. I am Muhammad Ali Calais. He bounced around Bibi once again. Dare fight me, so I will knock your teeth in your palm, he boasted, his fist guarding his face. Enough, enough, Bibi scolded him. Haven't you found any shorter wall than mine to jump from? Thank God I have no teeth left in my mouth. Had I known that you were such an expert pulling out teeth, I wouldn't have spent all my hard-earned money on that young Abadi dentist. She shook her head and started to walk away. I'm just pretending, Muhammad laughed, hugging Bibi, kissing her face, just like Muhammad Ali, you know, the American boxer. Well, I'll be damned. How come he has a Muslim name then? Bibi was in awe. He was a Christian at first, Muhammad said, but he converted to Islam. He's a Muslim now, just like us. Allahu Akbar. God bless his soul. He must pray too then. I guess, Muhammad shrugged, but you know, he's fighting for the black people in America. He's a champion, Bibi, a very brave man. Why is he fighting for black people? I asked. I guess so they could have the same rights as the other Americans, he shrugged. Our history teacher says that the blacks were Africans, but the Americans snatched them away and brought them to America to use them as slaves. Now they're fighting to have equal rights like the rest of the people in America. I couldn't imagine how grown-ups could be snatched away, and I had never seen a black person in my entire life. The closest I had ever seen was this boy from a bunch of gypsies who came in the summer and raised their tents in the empty field at the far end of our alley. Bibi said they were dark like that because they always roved around under the hot burning sun. Neither had I ever seen a slave. Slaves in America? I asked again, astonished. How could anyone be black and a slave? I thought in America everyone has blue eyes and white skin, like the Walton family. There are all kinds of people in America, Muhammad said, and black people too, like the black slave in Tom Sawyer, who people thought killed another man, remember? Next time we go to the library, I'll get you the book. People have different skin colors and genes. Despite those enormous green eyes, his skin the color of sugar, and his body, which inside seemed more like Bruce Lee's than the steely coffee-colored Muhammad Ali, my brother and the American champion had a lot in common. Their name, the punching bag, and a desire to scuffle for people. Muhammad was fascinated with the champion who rode like a king in the ring. He fights like that for black people's equality in America. And I will fight for the people of the shanty town of Halabiabad, Muhammad said. People whom he had seen only on TV, he now called brothers. They were his brothers, he said, even though they lived at the end of the world, where each day the sun set in the blue water of the Pacific Ocean, only to rise up from behind the Dino Mountain in the heart of our city, Shiraz. Suddenly, one cloudy afternoon, the punching bag stood still on its hook in the wooden arbor. The bloated red gloves began to crack between the vine branches. No longer wanting to greet anyone who entered the courtyard with a friendly punch in the stomach instead of a salam, Muhammad recalled his never-forgotten passion for books. Once again, he headed out for the city library and faraway bookstores, only to return weighed down with books without any illustrations and heavy as bricks. He'd retired to this small storage room, now become his secluded cozy room, and bury himself in books loaded onto the high shelves on the floors and in the corners, leaving him only a patch of Turkish rug to sit on. He read page after page, word by word, over the whizzing sound of the casket-sized freezer. With the new character occupying his body and soul, the sounds of the hee-haw and the dancing feet around the punching bag faded away. After hours of confining himself to the closed room, a new Muhammad would emerge.